start by drawing the House's attention to my entry in the Members' Register of Interest with particular relation to the same deer management course my honourable friend from Mid-Bedfordshire attended, hosted by the British Association of Shooting and Conservation last December. And also, for transparency, say that I'm a member of the Countryside Alliance, I'm a member of BASC. Both of those memberships predated my election to this place, and I shoot myself, and I'm a shotgun certificate holder. But I haven't come to this debate, even though I am my own MP, to talk about my own passion for shooting, but on the importance that shooting has to my constituency. Some 477 constituents signed the petition we debate this afternoon. I have had many, many emails from fellow shooters in the constituency, as well as actually those considering taking up shooting, having their first go at a playground and applying for a shotgun certificate. And indeed, I can't put it better than my constituent Stuart, who put it to exemplify the importance of shooting to my constituency. You only need to spot the game feeders in the fields from any train passing through Buckinghamshire to see how important shooting sports are in this constituency. But of course, it's not just shooting sports that will be affected by the changes this petition is about. As others have said very eloquently throughout this debate, yes, it's shooting sports. Yes, it's the playgrounds. Yes, it's game shooting. Yes, it is also farmers. It is pest control and it is predator control. It is things like deer management. And if we didn't have deer management and those people that are willing to get a firearms license and often get called out by the police themselves in order to deal with a deer that has perhaps been knocked over in the road and needs humanely dispatching, or indeed to stop our countryside being overrun, we would be in very great difficulty. But as my honourable friend for Keighley and Ilkley concluded his remarks with, it's that wider economic impact, not just to those that hold a shotgun certificate or a firearms licence, but it's people like David and Nikki Florent in my constituency who run, despite its name, it's in Buckinghamshire, the Oxford Gun Company in the village of Oakley, a gun shop, a shooting ground. They don't just sell shotguns and rifles and cartridges and ammunition, but the clothing ranges, the boots, the glasses, the ear defenders, everything that goes in to shooting at large that would be at risk if the change that is being consulted on by the government and that this petition is about goes ahead. Because as others have said, the impact of this change could lead to a huge number of people saying it's just not worth it anymore. They're not going to put themselves through the process of renewing or even getting a shotgun certificate in the first place. If we look back to the last significant reform of the licensing regime back in 1988, from there was a decline of around a third of participants in shooting. And there are estimates out there that suggest this change from Section 2 to Section 1 would equal a similar reduction in the number of people wishing to put themselves through the process of getting their firearms licensing renewed. I will happily give way.
Thank the Honourable for my indicative intervention. Not a word was said. He's talking about the benefits. At the moment, we have in the United Kingdom a stable system whereby he talks about people thinking about taking up shooting. I believe we have a system whereby people are taught correctly from the word go to point your gun at the sky, point it at the ground. When you finish shooting, clean it, put it away, lock it up. And those are invaluable rules. And I think it's something we should be very proud of in the United Kingdom, how well we run it. And I only have to go back to, I think, 2006 when Dick Cheney unfortunately managed to pepper somebody at a quail shoot in the United States. And I think the safety standards we have in this country are the envy of the world.
I absolutely agree with the honourable gentleman. He puts it very well. Someone said earlier in the debate that holding a shotgun or a rifle is a privilege. Yes, it is a massive privilege, but it also comes with an absolutely ginormous responsibility, which I believe everybody that does hold legally a shotgun certificate or firearms licence takes that responsibility very seriously. They have often been taught from a very young age the proper safety protocols around handling a firearm, the importance of keeping it locked away, of cleaning it very important actually for your own safety when handling a firearm, for if it's not clean, that can lead to some significant problems. And I think we should acknowledge just how seriously legitimate legal shotgun and rifle owners, properly licensed, take their responsibilities as shotgun and rifle keepers in this country. And indeed, on this safety point, we all want a safe system. Yeah. None of us that have the privilege of owning a shotgun, or indeed those that also own rifles, I don't have a firearms license. I've never applied for one. That it is so imperative that there is a safe system that underpins that, because it protects those that do as well as those who do not. Now, my honourable friend for Broadland and Fakenham went through the statistics in considerable detail, so I won't seek to repeat them here, but I do think it is worth acknowledging that whilst our hearts go out to anyone that is affected by a tragedy at the hands of someone wielding a firearm illegitimately, whether they've somehow cheated the system and got a certificate or not. Our hearts absolutely go out to anyone that has been a victim of such a tragedy. Those fatalities involving legally held firearms are extraordinarily rare, around 1 in 15 million annually, as others have said. Now, the significance of that I don't think anyone else has said in this debate is that that falls far below the health and safety executive's intervention threshold of 1 in a million. Now, that's not to say there can't be proportionate, evidence-based reforms to the licensing system. In many respects, there probably should, to tweak it and to make it safer. But what I don't see, and I don't think anybody in this debate this afternoon has advocated for, is that merging Section 2 into Section 1 would solve any problem or make anybody in our great country safer. It would bring with it considerable cost, considerable bureaucracy. I'm lucky in Thames Valley to have one of the better performing firearms licensing departments of police forces across the country. But as others have said, there are some forces who are found considerably wanting when it comes to new grants and renewal lead times. And that on the other side of that coin is the enormous financial cost to our economy. Shooting worth £3.3 billion each year in its own right, generating £9.3 billion worth of wider benefits. There is evidence out there. My constituent Scott believes that it could cost £1 billion a year and 20,000 jobs. There is equally evidence from the Countryside Alliance that specifically looks at alignment between Section 2 and Section 1, reducing the total value by £2.38 billion in the first year, and a loss of between 13,600 and 17,400 full-time jobs. So I urge the Minister, this is a debate that's looking at a live consultation, to stop, reflect on what she's heard this afternoon in this debate, what the shooting community in my constituency, and I dare say everybody's constituency, is saying on this matter, as she goes through the process of reforming police forces per se. Perhaps pause any conversation on this until we know what those new police forces are actually going to finally look like, as to whether any national scheme, and I've heard arguments on the other side of the debate to a national firearms licensing scheme as well, that particularly that the system we've got now does have local officers that, whilst they can't know every certificate holder or licence holder in their constituency, are closer to the people they are licensing. But to look at the bigger picture, in a picture where we have significant change to the policing landscape, and pause, look at the evidence, and understand the potential of significant damage, both to safety and to the economic survival of this sport and wider conservation activity. And the final point I will make, Ms. Barker, is that a lot has been said about this being an urban versus rural matter. And I actually don't believe it is. My constituency is entirely rural. Yes, there are many shotgun certificate holders and firearms license holders in my constituency. Playgrounds, many shoots, lots of farms. But if we look at the number of certificates issued across the country, this is just as important to many people who live in our cities. 21,000 certificates are issued by the Metropolitan Police to London residents every year. This is something that does matter to people who shoot no matter where they live. They might go to a game shoot or a playground in the countryside, but they may live in our cities, and this is far bigger than just a rural issue.